In Moscow, the news that a rain of meteors was approaching Julia was at school with the Earth. Your best friend is veteran. Both in same classroom. At the end of class, your boyfriend. He went to get the girls, but Julia's father, Colonel Valentin Levitt, did not approve the relationship. In the meantime, they noticed an unidentified object accompanied the meteorites in the direction. The Russian Air Force said it landed. That was a spaceship, NATO's military, and ordered the launching missiles against him without. But the ship was strange to rain meteorites hit the ship. Music. Because of the missiles, the ship began to collide with the buildings of city, causing great destruction. Panic residents ran to save their lives as the attacks from missiles and fragments falling meteorites continued beyond damage to buildings. Hundreds of people lost their friends' lives. They were still at the top of the building, observing meteorites when Svetlana was hit by the ship and died. The army went to the scene where the ship had moved while they observed an alien with apprehension left. The ship did not attack the army, or the alien was attacked. Transmitted a message to the colonel interpreter explaining that your ship had been shot down by meteorites who caused its fall inland. However, after the missile attacks, the ship was abandoned, seriously compromised the alien. He made it clear that he had no intention of harming humans, and that was running against time to fix the ship and return to your planet. The colonel took this report to national conference, noting that the landing of the ship was forced due to the attacks of the government itself, but that the aliens had no intention to attack the land. Of the Russian government decided to give the aliens time to fix the ship, while the army evacuates and isolates the area. Colonel Valentin landing that Yuri was injured and in hospital went there and found his daughter in the company of Aiton. Annoyed with the presence of the young man, ordered Julia that immediately went with him. Julia was deeply affected by the death of your friend and blamed the aliens for the tragedy. Happened hidden at dusk. The father's weapon and marked a meeting with the boyfriend planning to end the life of the aliens. Aiton gathered 3 more friends to infiltrate the crash site and investigate the alien before any attack. They climbed to the top of the building where Julia lived was completely destroyed by the ship's collision. They found a device belonging for the alien, but they were unsuccessful identify their function. They continued until her friend's room, where they found some pictures of her that made Ayrton start crying, missing her at that moment. Alien approached to observe Julia. Scared, shouted and shot him, but lost its balance and began to falling from the building. The alien saved it. Listening to the screams of Julia, Aiton and your friends ran and they started attacking the alien, thinking that he had hurt Julia. During the beating, the alien fell. The boys went down the building to find it in the background, and they ran into their armor, but the alien had disappeared. They took the army armor found and fled. Walking between the rubble, he found many corpses, and among them the alien who fell from the building. He was still alive, but severely injured Julia with the help of her friend, G. Bear. He put the alien in his car and taken to the hospital. Seemed human. Then it was not difficult to hide your true identity. People's identity was very weak and necessary blood bags that Julia decided to donate to help him while he was receiving treatment. Julia, interestingly, it touched the alien body. He took her hand and transferred a bracelet. Julia left the hospital with her arm and more. In the late afternoon, while bathing, he realized that the bracelet had some kind of power over water. A device found by army in the rubble was taken for analysis, but was not discovered. Nothing. The colonel noticed that the water of the drinking fountain moved like the waves of the sea, strangely shaped the city stream. Dried. These events related to the water generated great concern in the country. Has called a conference for discuss the problem, and a scientist emphasized the importance of water in regeneration of human cells. After leaving the hospital, alien was taken by Julia to his house, where he hid in the garage so that he could recover. If he had appearance of a young man and quickly human habits learned, he said his name was Akan, and that needed to return to your planet. But first I had to find a way to fix your ship. Was within a device that allowed him to travel by space. The same object as now was under the power of Julia's army. He refused to help him and threw him out in despair. Akon went in search of the device, and he was approached by the police that confuse it with a drug user. Meanwhile, Aeon and his friends were united, trying to open the armor that had captured. No matter what they did, the material was extremely strong and resistant without suffering any scratching. One of the friends began to make jokes with the armor, putting hands over her. Suddenly, the armor issued a blue light and began to join the body of the boy in panic. Other friends tried to get her out of there, shield the situation in the city. Water began to deteriorate, being quickly consumed, and the population concerned with the survival of their families began protests and riots on the streets, requiring a government response. Found that the ship was absorbing water to repair. Aggravating even more the Aten crisis, and his friends went to the army to talk to the colonel about the armor they found there. At the same moment, a protest began violent, and police lost control of the situation. He was arrested during the confusion, but the colonel, who disapproved of their relationship with his daughter, he did nothing to prevent Julia, went to the police station to release Deer, and I was surprised to find Aten there. He tried to talk to him, but the police took him inside. Akon was released because Julia said that it was a misunderstanding, and that he was your friend. Julia started teaching Akon characteristics of humans so that no one would discover your true identity. Over time, the two fell in love, promised to help you find the device, knowing that it was saved in the laboratory under the control of Army. To obtain the device, Julia made an appointment with her father, and the colonel took Akon with her. Could hear his daughter because of work responsibilities then. She invented she was pregnant with Dion to capture their attention by taking advantage of the distraction, took the access card from your father, and gave Akon so that could infiltrate the laboratory and to recover the device. Akon went to laboratory disguised as a scientist, and he approached the device with his powers, managed to open it before the unbelieving eyes of scientists. Extracting the chip from inside, the scientists were paralyzed by shock, and when finally reacted and sounded the Akon alarm, was eager to leave, now that he had the chip. But Julia, he asked me to wait until dark, that the ship was surrounded by Army and would be captured if it tried. Go out in daylight. When checking the colonel's laboratory, cameras discovered that the alien was with your daughter, which further increased your concern. With camera images were transmitted in the news, showing the Akon's face and issuing an arrest warrant at the end of the late. When the colonel came home, Julia realized this and decided to go out with Akon. To hide elsewhere, they tried to take refuge at your friend's house, but they knew that nowhere. Hold on that moment. Julia, I had the idea of going to a concert to mix the crowd in the middle of the show. The two started dancing, and Akon used his powers to bring Julia to her planet. She was delighted. With such beauty, Akon explained to him that humans were not allowed to be there since the aliens have been able to destroy them. But he brought it because I considered them special, Ayrton's passionate friends. They saw him at the show and called him to inform you that Julia was accompanied by someone else when the night fell, and it was time for Julia and Akon separated and went to the ship, and while they said goodbye, they ended up kissing. Aten called Julia, and I asked her to meet, but I told him that she was involved with someone else person and did not want to go back with him. In Aten, reality was close to his friends who watched them approached Akon, and they started attacking him. Aaron, consumed by jealousy and anger. He also hit Julia. When Akon saw the situation, was furious and started fight with the boys. One of them took the bag, and I found the chip. Discovering your true identity as alien, Ayrton took a gun and shot against Akon, but the bullet is over. Contacting your friend who died, police immediately arrived at the scene, and Arton and his friends fled before they were arrested. But Akon was captured. Spread on the internet that Akon had killed your friend, inciting the people to attack and destroy your ship. Enraged population gathered in a march toward the ship, but suddenly robots began to emerge from inside ship that started attacking the humans. Aten wear the armor that had captured and confronted Akon. Although he used alien technology, he failed to defeat it. Full of anger, Aten left the armor and started shooting Han and Julia. The colonel, selling your daughter wound, ordered Aten's arrest. Robots captured Han and Julia, and they took them into the ship, putting them in cameras that use advanced technology. With water, the ship managed to replace the life Julia, but Akon took longer to recover. With the ship recovered Julia and your father laugh at their lives while he left for his planet, leaving behind only the memories of your passion by the alien.